when we are hit with some kind of a curveball, something that was unforeseen, we can launch ourselves into overdrive. We can go into panic mode. We can be frantic and scattered. Or we can take a step back, take a deep breath, and then walk through a really intentional and simple thought exercise that's
Okay.
going to get us to the other side of this curveball. Hi, I'm Monica Packer, and you're listening to About Progress, where we are about progress made practical. One of the most common everyday stressors are the unexpected curveballs that get thrown our way. This happened to me just the other week. I had a full day with a lot of to-dos all plotted out. I knew what I needed to do as soon as I got up to when I went to bed. But when my kids woke up for the day, my first grader came upstairs from his basement bedroom with a full body rash. I have never seen a rash that bad on any of my kids, and I knew right away that my whole day was about to change. Luckily, we got him into the doctor right away, and it turned out to be an allergic reaction to a virus he had fought the week before, but it was totally normal, didn't need any treatment, and would go away on its own. Even with that happy ending answer, my whole day had to be rearranged, with tasks reprioritized and others totally deprioritized. I'm not only guessing you can relate, I know you can, because this is life, especially so as women. We need to better expect the unexpected. But as part of that, we can also better navigate these types of curveballs in ways where we have the wherewithal and the grace to do so in ways where we feel like ourselves. This is why I asked time management coach and expert Anna Dearmon Kornick to share her wisdom as part of my Wise Women series, where I interview women in the personal development field on topics they're super passionate about. With her unique curve method, Anna shares some practical steps to remain calm, prepared, and proactive, steps that can be applied as outbreaks to job layoffs. This method is not so you navigate curveballs perfectly. Nobody can do that. It's so you can regain a semblance of control to navigate chaos with more confidence. Anna Dearmon Kornick is a highly sought-after time management coach and keynote speaker, a top 1% globally ranked podcast host of It's About Time, and founder of the It's About Time Academy. A true Louisiana firecracker who has become known for making time management fun, Anna helps busy professionals and business owners struggling with overwhelm manage their time using her personality-driven heart method. Building on more than a decade of experience in the fast-moving, high-stakes world of political and crisis communications, it's no surprise that Anna thrives on creating order out of chaos. Her rapid response background and relentless approach to problem-solving position her as the go-to expert for purpose-driven time management for busy people. That interview is coming up after a quick break for our sponsors. My love of having cleaner indoor air must be something you all know about me by now, because one of my most common questions that comes in on my direct messages is, what's that air purifier again? Well, it's Air Doctor, the award-winning air purifier that eliminates 99.99% of dangerous contaminants like allergens, viruses, smoke, gases, mold spores, and more. Americans spend an average of 90% of their time indoors. But did you know that indoor air can be up to 100 times more polluted than outdoor air? We know it in the Packer household because one of our kids happens to have pretty bad indoor allergies, and our new doctor was relieved to hear that we already have an air purifier in our home. Unlike other purifiers, Air Doctor captures invisible particles 100 times smaller than standard HEPA filters, making the Packer household very happy customers. I recently burned something in my oven, and I was so happy to see that my Air Doctor kicked right into high gear automatically all on its own because it could sense that something was a little bit off in our main area. You can experience the joy of Air Doctor and breathe cleaner. Just head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code MONICA to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee plus a 3-year warranty and $84 value free. Get this exclusive podcast-only offer now at airdoctorpro.com. That's AIRDOCTORPRO.com using promo code Monica. One of the ways I'm filling my cup is returning more to my teaching roots and offering affordable online workshops to this community on very niche topics that I know you both want and need. I recently did the How to Dream Again workshop, helping women gain clarity on what more they want in their lives. And coming up, I'll be teaching the Best Summer Ever workshop, practically guiding women to craft a summer for the scrapbooks. More online workshops are coming, but you can get information on and access to these workshops and the replays by going to aboutprogress.com/workshops. For just $17, you can invest some time and thought into making progress in your life and in ways per usual to this community that are both deep and practical. Again, check out what's available by going to aboutprogress.com/workshops, and workshops is plural. Anna Dearmon Kornick, welcome to About Progress.
Hi, Monica. Thank you.
It's a thrill to have you on. I loved being on your podcast so much, and I love the work that you do. We are very aligned, but we teach different things. And today you're going to be teaching us something that we deal with often, but haven't talked about much on the show. And it's like life. It's life happening. And, I think if there's one thing that is certain in life, it's uncertainty. But women seem to face it more, even on typical days. We just get thrown all these curveballs that make us have to show up differently. So I was curious if we could start with you leveling with us, because since you're a time management expert, I'm sure people are like, oh, you have it all together all the time. Like, you just look like a robot all day. So can you level with us and tell us about, how, if this has happened to you before in the past? Those
Sure.
curveballs.
Oh my goodness. Monica, I think curveballs are just a normal part of life, and I am certainly not immune to them, even though I am a time management coach. I mean, life happens to me just like anyone else. And I'll tell you, to be completely honest, sometimes it hurts even more when it happens to me, because sometimes I do get this idea in my head that, oh, well, I should have thought about this. I should have had a plan. I should have considered this, because I am a time management coach. But really, first and foremost, I'm a human, and we're all doing our best with the skills and the wisdom that we've acquired. And sometimes we just have to pivot, adapt, and evolve.
Yeah, which isn't fun to do. So we might as well own that this is going to happen to all of us. How can we come to better expect the unexpected?
Wouldn't it be nice if we could wake up every morning and just have a crystal ball that would give us a little bit of a preview of our day?
Yeah.
On one hand, it seems like that would be fantastic. We would be able to prepare for everything that we needed. We'd have everything in our purse or our work bag that we were going to need for the day. But life would be really boring if we knew exactly what was in store for us. And so, if the first step is to accept that curveballs will happen, that the unexpected will happen, then the next thing is really getting clear with yourself about, okay, well, what can I prepare? If I can't be prepared for literally everything in the most perfect way all of the time, what can I prepare?
Even if you just have your mindset, is that what you're talking about? Or like knowing what you're doing in a day, that kind of thing?
Yeah, even if you just have your mindset. And, my favorite way to almost see the future of your week without seeing every single curveball or what's behind every corner is to do a weekly planning session. And to really do your best to create your own bird's eye view of the week ahead, so that you're able to anticipate the obstacles that you can clearly see at this point. Because so often the curveballs that we encounter could actually have been prevented with a little bit of forward looking, with a little bit of a big picture zoomed out view. I think about times in my life when it's Tuesday evening, it's 7 o'clock. We're hungry. There was a stacked day full of calls and meetings and activities, and there's nothing in the fridge. And you might look at that and think, oh, wow, what a curveball. But that's an experience that is completely avoidable just by taking some time at the beginning of your week to say, hey, what does this week look like? Where are our tough spots? Oh, wow, there is a lot on my plate Tuesday. I should probably have some groceries delivered on Monday, or just go ahead and decide in advance that we're going to pick up takeout.
Love that. I'm a reformed planner, and this is something my community has heard me say, that I don't love planning. I just love the result,
Yes.
which is having actually more margin, almost like built-in flexibility, because I know which things aren't flexible for the week. So when
Mm-hmm.
those curveballs come, I can, shift things around, or I've already had the built-in margin. What would you say to someone who is resistant to it, like I was for a long time, because of this image they have in their mind that someone who is a planner is someone who is not creating space for the unexpected?
Yes. Oh my goodness, Monica. That actually reminds me of a free quiz that I have that helps you kind of understand what is holding you back from living a life that
Mm,
is more calm than chaotic. And one of the personality types that is revealed is called the architect. And the architect is that person who meticulously plans every single inch of their day. Every hour is accounted for,
mm,
but when everything is so tightly planned, one thing goes off course and the entire day, possibly even the rest of the week, goes up in smoke
mhm.
because there's no room for flexibility. There's no room for a contingency plan or for space or for creativity or spontaneity. And so, for my architects, those who tend to either overplan, or even those y'all listening who think if it's planning, it's going to be overplanning, right?
Mhm.
Just to get comfortable creating some buffer space in your week. And you
Mhm.
can give it all kinds of names so that you feel comfortable with it, whether you call it
Yeah.
margin, whether you call it white space, whether you call it buffer space. I have a friend who calls it chaos blocks. And it's
Yeah.
just leaving
Mm.
open space in order to hold some time for the unexpected. And
Mhm.
certainly you're not scheduling, oh, well, I think I'm going to have a chaos today from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So
Yeah.
let me just go ahead and put that in there. No, it gives you the space to rearrange
Yeah.
without then having to push everything to the next day and the next day and the next day.
Mhm. Yeah, I think one of the keys for me in both planning and also just in better managing my time has been to have the time bound tasks written down, and, the top couple tasks I need to complete that day, but then the rest is a little bit more open, or if like
Yes.
not fully open, at least that's what helps me do
Yes.
both better. But I love that we're actually starting with this, because this is kind of like the thing nobody wants to actually hear,
Right.
but is so essential to a lot of the curveballs could have been avoided.
Right. And
Yeah.
that really, unfortunately, that's true. But
Mm-hmm.
there are also curveballs that you just aren't going to see coming, that are
Mm-hmm.
going to hit you from, out of left field and completely throw you for a loop, despite all of your best planning and intentions.
Mm-hmm. And that's happening to everybody everywhere. So again, let's own that's going to happen. And with that, let's spend the rest of our time with this,
Okay.
because it's those unexpected out of left field curveballs that I think can be extra defeating for women,
Oh, yeah.
especially when they like blame themselves for not having it all together, or maybe seeing things coming or not handling it well. So, you actually have a method for this that I would love for you to walk us through on how we can better deal with these curveballs that are extra unexpected.
Yes. And Monica, I've got to tell you, the curve method, as it's called, because I love an acronym, the curve method was actually born from a crazy curveball
Mm-hmm.
that I got. one day that was thrown my way. And I realized that once I made it to the other side of this curveball, and I'll kind of walk you through what I realized, but once I got to the other side of it, I realized that I felt calm, that everything felt smooth and in control. And I actually had a group coaching session in the It's About Time Academy later in the day of this curveball that I'll tell you about. And I took a moment before that call to think, why did this go so well? Because I want to be able to share this. And here's what I realized is that when we are hit with some kind of a curveball, something that was unforeseen, we can launch ourselves into overdrive. We can go into panic mode. We can be frantic and scattered. Or we can take a step back, take a deep breath, and then walk through a really intentional and simple thought exercise that's
Okay.
going to get us to the other side of this curveball.
So it's like how to feel calm in the chaos of these
Yes.
curveballs. I think love the alliteration that is actually happening here. Tell us about that moment first, and then let's go through the
Gosh.
method because I think we just have to paint the picture so they understand what kind of curveballs we're talking about.
Yes. Okay. So anyone with kids knows about the dreaded call from daycare. You have your entire day planned, you're in the midst of a work project or just some other obligation. Your phone lights up and you see it's daycare, school, whatever, on the caller ID. And so that's how it all kicked off for me. I saw the phone call and I'll never forget the daycare director calling to let me know that my 3-year-old had lice. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Just that there had been an outbreak at the daycare and that they had spotted creepy crawlies and that I needed to come get her. So at the time, my 3-year-old shared not only a room, but also a bed most nights with my 5-year-old little girl. And so as I'm getting this call, I go into overdrive thinking about how this is completely going to disrupt our day, turn things upside down, not just for me, but also for my husband, who we both run our businesses from home. For my 5-year-old, in addition to my 3-year-old, that this was going to be an all hands on deck, everybody's going to be involved kind of moment. Those first few minutes after the phone call, that's when we really are in this kind of like we're hanging in the balance because we can go one of two ways. We can go frantic or we can ask ourselves, hey, what can I control in this moment? And so that's the first C in curve is control. And it's asking yourself, okay, this is nuts. This is tough. This is going to throw everything off, but what can I control? And you know what's really cool, Monica, is that even when the whole world feels like it's on fire and that we can't control anything, we can control ourselves and we can control the way that we act and respond and the way that we present information to others.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a really important reminder for me that, okay, I'm about to help my 2 daughters navigate kind of an icky, scary situation. And it's up to me to set the tone for how this goes today. And so whether you get the dreaded call from daycare or you get unexpected financial or other types of family news, whether it's a work issue, the first thing that you can do is ask yourself, okay, what can I control here?
Yeah. I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about we just have to accept that we are going to need to expect the unexpected. And if we accept that, then when they come up, it's just like okay, I can control not being totally thrown off by this because I planned that things would go not according to plan all the time.
Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite songs is Wait for It from Hamilton.
Yeah.
And there's that line in it that goes, I am the one thing in life I can control.
Mm.
And I love to go back to that lyric in times when things feel crazy because that's it. I can control myself. I can control how I respond. And so once I made the decision that, hey, I'm going to create a positive experience here. We are going to have the most fun lice day anyone has ever had. Like that was the decision I had made.
Yeah.
Then I shifted into thinking about, okay, what do I need to understand now
Mm-hmm.
about this situation? So the U in curve is understand. What do I need to understand about this situation that I am in now? What 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 do I need to do? How do we take care of this? And so Google searched
Yeah.
immediately. You launch into how to, how to clean furniture,
Mm-hmm.
how, all of those little things. And anything that came to mind, I just started Googling and getting an idea of what we could do. And that's how I learned that professional nitpickers are a thing, uh, based on my searches. And so, okay, so that led me to something that I could potentially use or move on. But really, whenever we get hit with a crisis or a
Mm-hmm.
just chaotic situation, part of the overwhelm is because of the unknown. We're swirling with all of these possibilities and what could and what if. But if we stop to really ask ourselves, what do I need to understand about this situation? It can
Mm-hmm.
help you grasp onto the facts, onto what's real, onto something that is concrete much quicker than the spiral,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
worry spiral.
This podcast is sponsored by Go Pure Beauty. You may already know this about me, but I love skincare. I have been so hyper diligent about taking care of my face since my early 20s, thanks to a great dermatologist I happened to visit at the time. But guess what I forgot about for most of those years? My neck. Did you forget too? The skin on your neck is thinner, more delicate, and less oily than facial skin, so it requires special care. That's why Go Pure Beauty developed their revolutionary Tighten and Lift Neck Cream. Powered by clinically proven active ingredients, this advanced formula is designed to visibly firm, smooth, and rejuvenate the delicate skin on your neck and chest in as little as 4 to 8 weeks. I've been using the Tighten and Lift Neck Cream, and I've been loving it. The silky texture is so nice. My very sensitive skin has responded to it very well. And that's thanks to it being paraben and sulfate free and made without harsh chemicals. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off Go Pure with code PROGRESS at checkout. And Go Pure isn't just about your neck. They have a full line of science-backed skin and body care to brighten, hydrate, and restore your glow from head to toe. From powerful vitamin C serums to deeply hydrating retinol moisturizers, every product is packed with clean, effective ingredients that deliver real results. With over 1 million jars sold, this beauty secret is no longer a secret. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off Go Pure with code PROGRESS at checkout. Just head to gopurebeauty.com/progress, use code PROGRESS, and you're all set. And after you buy, do us a favor. When they ask where you heard about Go Pure, tell them it was from our show. For years, I have been teaching women how to do habits differently. I have been so grateful to see the concepts that have changed the most for you with responses from women of our community, like you are changing the habit game for all of us. And this is so needed. And you should write a book on this. Well, guess what? I am. And I'm so eager for you to get your hands on it, hopefully sometime in 2026. And since I can't share the title yet, and also since I may end up self-publishing, I need a committee of gal pals, if you will, like you, who are ready to be my early test readers, to pre-order the book, and to act as grassroots publicists the moment each of those steps are made ready. Would you like to be on that book launch committee? Get on the free list by going to aboutprogress.com/book committee. Even if you just want to be the first in the know with any book news, that's where you sign up. Again, go to aboutprogress.com/book committee. It's in the show notes for you. I can't wait to share as much as I can with you along the way, and I am already so grateful for your support.
I probably should have mentioned, Monica, that prior to becoming a time management coach, I spent about 10 years working in crisis communications and government affairs.
Oh, amazing. That's totally related, isn't it?
where it actually takes me back to the times
Mm.
that we would be handed a new client. And again, when you work in crisis communications, you don't know when a new client's coming because you're not
Yeah.
planning for a company to have a crisis. But you have a client land in your lap that's experiencing a crisis situation. And you go into, okay, what do we need to understand about this situation? What's the landscape? What's the current sentiment? Who are our allies? Who are our adversaries?
Mhm.
And I realized that I was almost applying a little bit of that crisis management experience from a past life into, okay, what do I need to understand about lice to get through this?
Yeah. I mean, information is gonna help you feel more in control, right?
Right. Right.
I feel like the tendency to just run around like you're a chicken with its head cut off is one, so understandable,
Right.
and two, also so not helpful.
Right.
So yeah,
It's r
hey,
it's
let's
really
understand it.
easy
It's
to fall
easy.
into that mode.
Mm-hmm.
It is because that's chicken with your head cut off is the path of least resistance,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you have a little bit of a grasp on what you need to understand, now we need to start gathering our resources. So that's R. And it's really asking yourself, okay, what resources do I need to tap into
Mm-hmm.
in order to get through this situation? And in that case, now that I knew that a professional nitpicker was a thing, that is a real business that people have, and I love them for it. I started reaching out to friends and family asking, "Hey, do you know of anyone? Do you have any recommendations?" And we were connected with a fantastic company in New Orleans called Nitpicking in NOLA. Shout out to them, because just so thankful for them. But it's really like, okay, what resources do we need here? And the great thing here is that a resource doesn't necessarily have to be a tool to, I don't know, get the job done or to work your way through the crisis. When I was thinking about how do I create a positive experience out of this for my girls, the resources that I picked up were McDonald's Happy Meals and asking my husband to get Tangled queued up on Disney Plus so that as soon as we got home, we would have a really fun movie up. Oh, and we also had um, there's an episode of Bluey
Oh
called
yeah.
Knits.
Uh-huh.
And so we had that ready to go as soon as they got home. And so when I was thinking of resources, I was thinking, okay, not only what help do I need to get to the other side, but what
Mm-hmm.
help do I need to support my girls in this and to
Mm-hmm.
make this a fun experience? And so, what can we control? What do I need to understand? And what are the resources that I need that I can leverage in order to make it to the other side of this?
Mm-hmm.
And again, this applies to any curveball situation because now that you have a better lay of the land, what do you need to get your hands on or what do you need to understand in order to move forward?
Mm-hmm. And a big part of that is you don't have to do it alone. What you can control
100%.
that's not a step to ask you like to then have this toxic mindset of like I have to control everything. It's no, like get realistic, find out what's going on for reals, get help. I love that. So what's V?
V. So, perfect segue from what you were just saying that we don't have to do it all alone.
Mm-hmm.
But before you're able to intentionally get help, you need to figure out what is most vital
Yeah.
for you to spend your time and energy on in this situation. I knew in my situation that it was most vital for me to be there for my girls and to be a calming presence for them,
Mm-hmm.
to help them not be afraid, to help them not have any, yucky feelings or weird memories from this.
Sure.
And so I knew, okay, the most vital thing that I can do is pick them up, create a fun, light environment for them, and what was not vital for me to do was a podcast interview that morning and a meeting with a potential sponsor that afternoon. And so once you get clear on what your most vital role is in whatever the situation is, it makes it easier to peel things off in order to bring your focus to that.
Yeah. And again, as part of that, yourself, I love that you started there. Like, what's most vital for me
Yeah,
to be able to step into this the way I need to?
definitely. Um, Because as much as we want to, like we were saying earlier, as much as we want to control the situation,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we are able to have the biggest impact or the best impact by being very specific about what we can actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And what can be left to others, which is where our E comes in, which is enlist. Who
Great.
can, now that you know what is most vital for you in your time, who can
Mm-hmm.
you enlist for help? And like I said, I was picking up the girls, calling my husband, asking him, like letting him know the situation, asking him to. I remember I was like, can you set up the little white table in the living room in front of the TV? Go ahead and cue up Bluey, the episode about the knits. Grab all of the hairbrushes in the house and put them in a plastic box. And so he's able to get started on all of these little things that I didn't have to be the person to get home and do that.
Mm-hmm.
By enlisting his help, I was able to focus on being there and being present with the girls.
So how did that all turn out?
Oh my goodness.
Like, even if it's just I was able to create that experience for my girls,
Yeah,
and otherwise maybe an embarrassing or scary
right.
situation for them.
Right. We had so much fun.
Mm.
Like I said, we picked up Happy Meals, which we very rarely do Happy Meals or fast food. So that's a big deal for us to pick up a kid's meal. But they were so excited to have their kids' meals and to watch TV. And the knit picker came to our house, arrived within an hour, and no knits were to be found.
Oh, of course. Another
No,
curveball.
no knits were to be found, just a little patch of dry skin over on one
Got
corner
it.
of her scalp.
Mm.
And so the nitpicker was able to head on her way. My 5-year-old did not even need to be checked,
Yeah.
but they enjoyed a great afternoon watching Tangled and playing with their Happy Meal toys. And I think about how that experience could have gone in a completely different direction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you imagine if I had picked them up frazzled and frustrated and how did this happen? I can't believe this happened. And just
Yeah.
imagine how their feelings would have been impacted and what they would have thought about themselves in this situation. And instead, we were able to turn it into a really fun little afternoon. We even left after the nitpicker left and went to the library for the afternoon and went on a scavenger hunt at the library. And I remember the weather was beautiful that day, and we were just able to create such a fun experience. And I know that it could have gone in a completely different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting to the other side of it and thinking back and realizing, like, okay, well, I started by deciding what kind of experience do I want to create today? What can I control? I can control myself and how I respond. What do I need to understand about this so that we can feel confident about our next steps? What resources do I need? What phone numbers? What websites? Whatever. What is most vital for me to focus my time and energy on? And then who can I enlist for help? Because we don't have to do it all. There's almost always some way that we can get help, even if it's just, hey, I'm going through a really rough, unexpected time. Can you just be there for some encouragement? Can you just pump me
Yeah.
up? Send me some funny memes or, whatever.
Give me a hug.
Exactly. Give me a hug. You just, you never know, but there's almost always something where you can ask for help.
Mm-hmm. That to me is, I mean, everything you shared has been so important, but that seems like the most important. Because when we get those curveballs, and largely we're the ones who are affected the most, we can just take it all on
Right.
ourselves too, and we don't. You shared such a great example, and I'm glad it turned out in terms of there actually being no lice,
Me too.
which is, I mean, nice. Like, at least we didn't have to actually deal with that part, after all. But I've been curious, you shared this with your community, you taught this, method to them. What kind of situations has this been applied to?
Yeah. One that I can think offhand with a client recently was someone who was impacted by layoffs.
Mm, yeah.
You know, I find that there are so many industries right now that are hanging in the balance, and things are very volatile, and we don't necessarily know what stability looks like or what the
Yes.
future looks like in some of our roles. And one of my clients was impacted by layoffs. And that's a really big curveball.
Mhm.
Even when you know that we don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And so she was able to think through, okay, I can control the way that I think about this. Is this an opportunity or is this a setback? And
Mm.
she chose to dig her heels in and say, this is an opportunity. This is a chance for me to find something that's an even better fit. What do I need to understand? Well, she started reaching out to her contacts to understand what certain opportunities could look like.
Mhm.
What contacts she had at different organizations, what she could do in the meantime. She started taking advantage of professional women's organizations as a resource to even extend her network
Mhm.
beyond just her personal connections. She knew that the most vital thing that she could do in that moment was to, for her, create a daily habit that included looking for new
Mhm.
opportunities.
Mhm.
And she was very intentional about making it a daily habit instead of something that filled up every single open space in her life.
Mm. That
Because
seems key.
when we are in curveball mode, it can become consuming.
Yeah.
Especially depending, the story that I shared with you, the dreaded call from daycare, the potential of having lice, that was wrapped up in a nice little bow by the end of the day. But not
Mhm.
all curveballs are like that, and they
Mhm.
require a bit more stamina and time to get through.
Mhm.
And so she knew that by making it a contained daily habit, routine, even, that she was not going to become overwhelmed
Yeah.
with, I should be doing this now, or I
Mhm.
should be in job search mode all the time, because that left room for creativity and problem solving and time with friends and taking care of her physical and mental health.
Mhm.
And then who could she enlist for help? Reaching out to those contacts saying, hey, being open, I am looking for new opportunities. If you know of anyone in this field, XYZ. But again, making this an opportunity to connect with other people, to ask for help, to call in favors, to,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like. Very rarely do we have to go at anything alone.
Mm. Thanks for sharing about one that can be a little bit more both serious and all-consuming,
Yeah.
because I'm sure if we hear something like this, we think, "But that wouldn't apply to this," or "That wouldn't help me then." But it does seem to transcend, you know, from lice to layoffs
From life to layoffs. Oh my
and
goodness.
beyond, about expecting the unexpected and this seeming paradox of both letting go but taking ownership of the choices we do have.
Yeah.
And if anything, I think what we can expect from this, and what I see in you too, is just this pride that we can have that we were ourselves in a difficult situation, that we showed up to it in ways that were probably messy and not perfect, but that we can be proud of
Yeah.
how we showed up.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times whenever we learn a framework or we learn a
Mm-hmm.
method, we want to be able to think through, okay, step 1, what can I control? Step 2, this, step 3, this.
Yeah.
But in a more longer term curveball, one that
Mm-hmm.
isn't nicely wrapped up in a bow by the end of the day, being comfortable cycling back through them, reminding
Yeah.
yourself each morning, what can I control?
Hmm.
This is a tough situation, but what can I control? Is there something new that I need to understand? Are there any resources that I haven't tapped into yet? It doesn't have to be a one and done
Mm-hmm.
walkthrough. It is a method, it is a thought pattern that you are able to go back to over and over again as the situation evolves.
Yeah, it seems more fluid, right? And more intuitive as well, which I think is the goal for any coach like we are, to make it so people that are, they're not beholden to like step by step. Am I doing the
Right.
exact thing? If this is a tool, I
Right.
would encourage though people, we'll make sure we put in the progress pointers what the method is, like copy and paste it into the notes in your phone. So that way, as
Yes.
you're learning something like this, you can then learn which of these steps that you keep coming back to or are the most grounding, and help you dance with that paradox of both letting go and taking more ownership. So I have a final question for you, but before we do that, I would love to direct people to your podcast, and we'll have that linked in the show notes. But where else should they go if they want to connect with you and learn more from you?
Yes. Well, first of all, Monica, thank you so much for allowing me to spend time with you to pour into your audience. Definitely check out my podcast. It's About Time, with new episodes that go live every single Monday. But if you have been in a season of overwhelm, one of the best ways to take steps out of that would be checking out my free video series called Blueprint to Balance, which is
Love
designed
that.
to really take you out of a season of overwhelm step by step into creating your personal blueprint to a more balanced life, whatever balance means for you.
Mm.
You can find that at blueprinttobalance.com. And beyond there, I like to hang out on Instagram. So if you're an Instagrammer, come find me on Instagram and let's be friends.
That's so great. We will link to all those resources. And the final question we always like to end with is, what is one small way listeners can take action on what they learned today?
Take a moment and think to yourself the words, I am in control. I am in control. Because when life is crazy, when things feel chaotic, when we begin to feel like our schedule is not our own, because
Mm,
so much of what takes up our time is in service of others, it can be easy to forget that we really are the ones in the driver's seat. And in order to be your best self in a crisis or a curveball situation, you have to first believe that you are in control
mm.
so that you can ask yourself then, what can I control in this situation? And so it's probably the smallest action step that I can give you, but it's to begin training yourself to believe I am in control.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's both small but mighty, right? Anna, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me, Monica.
Well done. Oh, it was so fantastic. And I love the calendar. I hope this episode gave you the hug and kick in the pants you need to grow. I'm going to recap the CURVE method. C stands for control. What can I control? U stands for understand. What do I need to understand? R stands for resources. What resources do I need? V stands for vital. What is most vital for me to spend my time and energy on? And E stands for enlist. Who can I enlist to help? I especially loved how Anna encouraged us to do something to start. And I hope you'll take her advice there to say in a moment of chaos, I am in control. Not because that means you have total control, but it gives you back a semblance of that control. We've made sure to link to all things Anna in the show notes, so be sure to check her out. This podcast is listener supported. Members of the Supporters Club make my work with About Progress free and available to all, and they also get access to 3 levels of exclusive benefits from more time to more content from me. My favorite benefit is more personal. My private premium always ad-free podcast where I lean into the personal side of personal development. I get such great feedback from the variety of episodes that we feature there, from deep dives to casual conversations to a movie club to book reports. I'd love to invite you to become a supporter by going to aboutprogress.com/support. But no, you can always support the show for free. How about you just share this episode with a friend who needs it today? If you want to get bonus points, subscribe to us on YouTube and watch the show there. Thank you so much for listening. Now go and do something with what you learned today. So I want to make sure I say your name right before I start. So Anna Dearmon Kornick.
That's it. Anna Dearmon Kornick.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's do it. Anna Dearmon Kornick, welcome to Oh, did I say it wrong?
Kornick.
Oh, I wrote it down on my notes, Kornick.
Okay. Yep. Anna Dearmon
Sorry.
Kornick.
I'm so glad you stopped me. Everyone gets Packer wrong. Isn't that funny?
Real?
Yeah.
What did I say?
Parker.
Parker. Okay.
Or Packard.
Packard. Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's funny.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, here we go. Anna Dearmon Kornick